Tale of the Brave. It was a busy and bustling day at the clay pits on the island of Sodor. Thomas was there helping out while a bridge on his branch line was being repaired. He liked working at the pits, but those troublesome engines, Bill and Ben, kept playing tricks on him. There was no time for tricks that day, though a friendly engine named Timothy warned everyone that rain might be coming. And if it starts to rain, these clay walls will get really unstable. We best be careful today. That afternoon, dark clouds filled the sky and cold rains started to fall. As Thomas cautiously rolled down some slippery tracks, the clay wall next to him began to drip and ooze. To his surprise, he saw strange marks under the sliding mud. They looked like giant footprints. But what kind of animal has feet that big? Thomas wondered. Watch out! Bill and Ben shouted. Before Thomas could get a good look at the footprints, the troublesome engines pushed him safely out of the way of the giant gooey landslide. The next morning, the Fat Controller addressed all the engines at the shunting yards. Bill and Ben are best known for playing tricks on other engines, but by rescuing Thomas from yesterday's landslide, they have proved that they are really useful engines. All the engines peeped happily, then rolled off to work. But Thomas couldn't stop thinking about the footprints. Thomas returned to the clay pits, but he couldn't see the footprints. The tracks were closed and covered with mud. Later, at the docks, Thomas told Percy about the footprints. I don't know what could have made them. They were bigger than any animal on Sodor. Do you mean they are from a monster? Percy wheezed. Don't be silly, Percy. There's no such thing as monsters. For the rest of the day, Percy couldn't stop thinking about monsters. He didn't want to see anything scary, but later, as he came to the top of the hill, he did see a strange shape in the distance. What's that? Percy puffed. I hope it's not a monster! Percy reversed and raced backwards all the way to the docks. It's the monster from the clay pits! Percy whistled as he barreled into the docks. Everyone watched as something rumbled down the rails. That be no monster, Salty puffed. That will be an engine. I don't usually get mistaken for a monster, the big engine tooted. Mind you, they do call me Gator. It seems they think my long water tanks make me look like an alligator. Percy felt very silly for thinking the new engine was a monster. Everywhere Percy went that night, he thought he saw strange creatures. All trees and haystacks became monsters with clenching claws. Fluttering laundry from a clothesline looked like ghosts. Percy was so scared, he didn't even deliver the mail. He asked Thomas to pull the mail trucks. Thomas agreed to do it for one night. The next morning, Thomas heard that the bridge on his branch line was open again. He was happy to go back to his usual work. But James was unhappy. The Fat Controller had asked him to pick up a load of scrap metal. It's not fair, James puffed. Thomas gets to pull coaches, and a fine engine like myself is sent to haul junk. As James rolled off in a grumpy mood, he saw Percy. Hello, scaredy engine, he puffed. Seen any monsters lately? You can tease if you want, Percy peeped, but Thomas saw giant footsteps at the pits. There might be monsters on Sodor. Perfect nonsense, James remarked as he rolled into the scrap yard. James was busy thinking about monsters when he turned the corner into the scrapyard, and came face to face with jagged teeth and cloaked claws. "No!" James peeped. "Help!" "Ah, mate," Reg the scrap crane puffed. "Looked like that scrap gave you a fright." James realized it was only a pile of old gears and broken metal in front of him. "I'm not afraid of some broken old machines," he puffed. Down at the docks, Percy was pleasantly surprised to see Gator waiting in the siding. "What are you doing here?" Percy asked. "I'm heading to a new job," Gator said. "Unfortunately, my ship has been delayed, and I had to wait until a new one could be found." "At least you don't have to worry about sea monsters," Percy peeped. "For all I know, sea monsters will be worried about me," Gator puffed with a laugh. "Wow," Percy peeped. "I wish I was brave as you." "Being brave is not the same as not feeling scared, Percy. Being scared is what you do even when you feel scared. You might be braver than you think." Inspired by Gator's words, Percy decided to be brave and pulled the mail trucks all by himself that night. His boiler bubbled boldly as he shunted across the countryside. Nothing scared him, not the fluttering laundry, not the old trees. "Gator is right," he tooted. "I can be brave." Grumpy James was not nearly as happy. He needed to pull the flying kipper, which was full of fresh fish. As he rounded a bend in the woods, he saw a large shadowy shape. He didn't realize it was only Gator. His whistle screaming, James raced away. He was so frightened that he missed the red signal and jumped off the rails into a pond. James was so embarrassed that Rocky had to hoist him out of the pond. When the other engines saw him at the big station, they had a good laugh. "You were meant to deliver the fish," Henry puffed, "not throw them back into the water." James didn't like these jokes one bit. He'd showed everyone that Percy was the real scaredy engine, not him. That night, as Percy was delivering the mail, he saw something unusual on the tracks. Something big. This definitely wasn't a haystack or a fine-looking engine. It groaned and flashed its big teeth in the moonlight. Percy didn't want to be brave anymore. He dropped his mail trucks and raced back to the shed as fast as his little wheels could carry him. "The monster!" Percy whistled as he rolled into the sheds. "I really saw it!" None of the other engines believed him. "You probably saw another haystack," James mocked. Percy looked desperately to Thomas. "Tell him there really are monsters on Sodor. Tell him about the footprints you saw." "I don't know what I saw," Thomas peeped, "but I don't think it was a monster." "There is no such thing as monsters," steamed Henry. "Never was and never will be." "Admit it, Percy. You're just a scaredy engine," James peeped. "But James, you got a fright when you saw a gator," Percy puffed. "No, I didn't," James steamed. "I just missed a signal in the dark." He looked at the other engines. "I wasn't scared. Like Percy."